Hi guys, right, welcome back to my channel. For those of you that are revisiting, thank you, you're welcome back. And for those of you that have just found me, my name's Karen. I am 56 years old, live in the Midlands, and I've now been taking Mounjaro for 8 months. So I started back at the very end of November, I think it was the 27th or the 28th of November. So it's pretty much my 8 month calendar 8 months, not in weeks. So I think I'm actually on week 37. It will be in the thumbnail if I'm wrong, but I think it's week 37. So today's Saturday. Now, normally I would do these on a Sunday. It'll be Sunday before this goes up, but I'm recording on a Saturday because I'm busy tomorrow. So I'm recording this on the Saturday, and I take my jab and normally do my weigh-in on a Sunday. So I will still be taking my jab on tomorrow. However, I weighed in this morning. So I'll be going over my weights for you in a few minutes. But there was something else that I wanted to discuss this week. Now, initially, I was going to talk about just the effects of losing quite a lot of weight. Now, in total, I have now lost about 75 pounds from my heaviest. So that's not completely on Mounjaro. That is pre-Mounjaro as well. I lost approximately 3 stone pre-Mounjaro, so about 40 pounds. And then I started taking Mounjaro in the end of November, beginning of December. And since I've been on Mounjaro, I've lost a further 35 pounds. So it's getting on to 50-50. So it's around 75 pounds all in total. If I can find my figures, I'll pop them up on the screen for you there, whichever side it comes up on. So yeah, 75 pound down. So for my biggest, which was 210 pounds ish back 5 years ago. So this was 2020 when I was at my biggest. So over a couple of years, I managed to lose a few pounds, like I said, 40 pounds on my own, without any additional aid, although I was on diabetic medication, which did help a little bit. And then, like I said, since starting Mounjaro, I've lost a further 35 pounds or close to. So 75 pound down, it's left me with a lot of loose skin. I say a lot of loose skin, but a significant amount of loose skin. And what it's also done, now I'm not going to touch on the loose skin. Ginger did a video midweek regarding the saggy baggy loose skin. And you know what? She's just said absolutely everything that I wanted to say, but she did it so much better. So please go and check out her midweek musing video from this Wednesday. It's brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant and so truthful and so brave. So please go and check that out. So I'm not going to touch on that. So I'm very much in the same situation as Ginger. Although she's taller than me, I think we have the same sort of body shape in the fact that we hold a lot of our weight around our middle. And that's where I've got left to lose now. It's, my arms, my legs, I'm happy with, although a little bit loose skin. I've got the bingo wings. And although this is tightening up now and this is down to the gym, I have been able to, that has definitely improved. So I've still got a little bit of crepey skin, but nowhere near as bad as it was. And I do put that down to the gym. So, but the other thing it did that I really noticed, and to be fair, some people in the comments also noticed, so I've lost a lot of volume in my face. Now, I'm blessed with the fact that, I always had quite youthful skin. And when I was bigger, you know what, fat just fills out the wrinkles, doesn't it? You don't look as wrinkly. But I have lost a lot of volume in my face. Now, it's a price that I'll pay. I would much rather have a little bit more wrinkles, let's say, and a little bit of loose skin on my face, look a bit older. Like I said, I'm 56. For me, I think I look my age now. But I have been trying to do something about it, to the point that I did invest in both time doing some research, but also a bit of money. I invested in some just general over-the-counter creams, so nothing that you couldn't purchase in Boots. So it was just the L'Oreal range, and I brought myself a couple of moisturisers, so a good day moisturiser and a good night moisturiser, and then also some serums. So I have the retinol serum for night times, I have a vitamin C serum for the daytimes, and then I alternate between the two. And in between days that I'm not using those, I then use the hydrochloric acid serum, HA. So I've been doing that, I would say, religiously now for the last 2 months, maybe 3 even now. Now, before that, I never used to use a moisturiser. Very, very rarely. The nearest I got to moisturising was using a sunscreen. So for the 2 weeks that I was on holiday, my skin was always a bit better, but I could never get into the routine of doing it. In hindsight, I wish I had have done 20 years ago, but I didn't. So it's maybe a little late to start. However, I have been doing it consistently now for a good few months, and I am noticing a difference. I am noticing a difference in my skin tone. It's evening out. And it feels better. So it's definitely hydrated. But it's not going to do any good for the wrinkles at the end of the day. So, as you've most likely seen from the thumbnail, I this morning went and got myself a few rounds of Botox. Something, again, that I've been looking into for a good few months, something that I wanted to do. I've found an injector who was recommended to me through friends, so somebody that they know and trust. It's very difficult to find somebody if you're not in a circle of friends that have that. It's not something it's not regulated, not to the extent that you would want it to be regulated. And there's a lot of charlatans out there. But hopefully I've found somebody that I'm happy with. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a go. What's the worst that can happen? Worst case scenario, it wears off in a couple of months. So that's where I was this morning. So I've been off and I've had a round in my forehead, some in the middle of my eyebrows, 1 or 2 on the sides of my eyes. So that should basically freeze my forehead. And she's also put a couple in my chin, which will also help with the downward drooping. So I'm officially going to start. Is it going to be wrinkle watch or Botox watch? I'm not quite sure. But, I mean, as you guys can see, I'm very expressive with my eyebrows. So my eyebrows go up and I've got plenty of wrinkles there, and I've got a good old frown line there as well. So we'll compare it. Let's see how it looks next week. Apparently it takes a couple of weeks to kick in fully. And I've got to go back and see her in 3 weeks to do a review and possibly a top-up if it's needed. So, yeah, I thought, you know what? It's not cheap, but if it gives me just a little bit back of, these wrinkles are not going away. I'd need a full facelift for that. And I'm perfectly aware of that. But what I am aware of, especially doing YouTube, and especially the fact that I'm on Teams meetings through work on a daily basis, I stare at my own face quite often nowadays. And I am very aware that, like I said, my eyebrows move and I've got some serious good old wrinkles going on. So, you know what? We'll give it a go. It's not going to do very much for the neck, although saying that, the creams that I've been using, I've also been applying to my neck as well. And again, texture's improving. And I think that is getting a little bit better. I noticed the difference anyway. So yeah, let's start wrinkle watch or Botox watch. I'm not quite sure which one I'm going to go with, but leave me some comments below and let me know which one you prefer. And we'll take it from there. You know, I'm not going to recommend that anybody does this. It's totally a personal decision, but it's something that I've thought about and researched for a good few months, and I'm happy with taking that decision. So, right, I said it is Saturday, but I have weighed in this morning, and I've pretty much maintained. I think I'm something like 0.1 of a fraction difference. I think last week I weighed in at 133.6 pounds, so just shy. And this morning it was 133.5. Negligible difference I've maintained, which doesn't surprise me. Now, last week, for those of you that don't know, I am on a 7.5 pen. Now, I have mine prescribed by the GP because I'm diabetic. But the last lot of bloods that I had done, I had actually put my diabetes into remission. So they've taken me off my other medication that I was on for diabetes, but kept me on Mounjaro. But because my bloods are stable and they're at a good level, the GP won't up my dose. I'm not on it for weight loss, so I can't go back and say, you know, I want to go up because the food noise is there or I'm eating more. It's about my blood sugar, and if my blood sugar stays stable, I'm not going to be going up the dose. I will be having a conversation with them in a couple of months' time to see whether or not there is any possibility, but at the moment I am on 7.5. Now, rightly or wrongly, off-label, I have decided that I am going to increase my dose slightly. So from the 7.5 pen, I can utilise the golden dose. So what I've done is I'm taking a dose and a quarter, which works out, I think it's just shy of 9 milligrams. I will put the maths. It's one dose, which is 7.5, and then a quarter, which is another 1.25, I think, off the top of my head, if that's correct. So yes, I'm upping it slightly, but there's no way that I can get anywhere near 10 realistically. So it's a fraction more than I could take, but otherwise I'd run out. So that's where I stand at the moment. So last week I did take that slightly increased dose, but this week I have struggled to hit my calories. I say hit my calories, not go over my calories. I just seem to be hungry quite a lot this week, and it's not food noise. The food noise is still gone. That side of things is fine. I'm just physically feeling more hungry. So I'm hungry by the time my breakfast comes round. My lunch is the one that I can usually, let's say, take or leave. I used to have a small lunch, and then I'd also have my protein shake, and then I'd have an evening meal. But lunchtime, I'm starving, I'm hungry, so I've been eating a little bit more. So I've been having, let's say, a little bit more. I've most likely had a full sandwich at lunchtime. So 2 rounds of bread, whereas maybe before I either wouldn't have had any bread at all, or I might just have had one. So my calories are being creeping up slightly. Then my evening meal, I've been having that little bit more. And then when I've looked at my macros, and I've actually looked at my NutriCheck at the end of the day, my calories have been around, considering my calorie limit is 1200, but they tended to be around the 1350, maybe even 1400. Now I usually have that 1 or 2 days, but it's been consistently all week that I've pretty much had 1400 calories. So it's not surprising that I haven't lost. I really am not surprised at all, but I have maintained. I have been to the gym a couple of times. So I have done some new photos, so I will pop a comparison photo. I mean, I can really see a difference now. So I'm quite happy that the fact that the scale doesn't say I'm body compositioning. However, you know, I look at myself and I can see my waist is getting smaller. If that's my main thing that I'm noticing right now, I'm definitely looking smaller in my waist. So I'm not worried about it. I am going to continue taking that additional little bit. So it does mean that I am jabbing twice at the same time. So I'll take a full dose and then I dial it 15 and I dial another quarter. I said it is not a recommendation by any means. I am taking more of the volume. However, I'm taking less than I would be if I was going up to a 10 pen, if that makes any sense. So in my head, it's a safe option. But again, like I said, it's not a recommendation and I don't expect anybody to be doing it that way. I think the other way, when you take a larger pen and you take a smaller dose from it, absolutely no reason behind that can't be done as far as I'm concerned. However, doing it the other way around, taking a little bit more in the volume, I don't know. But, so yeah, that's where I stand this week. So weight is maintained, no issues there, but my hunger's really increased, which seems counterintuitive considering that I've took a slightly higher dose. But tomorrow I will take the higher dose again. I think I'm coming to the end of my pen now, so that will be done as a 5th dose, as a golden dose. So I'll be able to withdraw that with a syringe, which will most likely be looking at about 80 units instead. No, 75 to 80 units. 75 would be the dose and a quarter, so that's right. Sorry, I'm doing it mentally in my head. So I will put it up there just to show that I do know exactly what the units are, but I'm just sort of not making it up. I'm trying to do the maths in my head as I talk. So if I'm correct, it will be 75 units, which will be a dose and a quarter. So that will be that one. I do have another 7.5 in the fridge ready to go. And that, as I say, at the moment, I will continue at the dose and a quarter, utilising that 5th dose until another couple of weeks or so, most likely another month, before I can sit down with the GP and discuss whether or not they will seek. They need to go back to the diabetic clinic to up me to the 10 now. So the decision's out of my hands. It's not like I'm getting this privately and I can go up because I want to. It does have to be approved. So that's something that I'll be looking into later. So it's a bit briefer this week, well, for my videos anyway. So next week we will check in again on the old forehead, see whether or not I can move it, or if it's all gone horribly wrong and I look even worse than I started. But who knows? You know, I don't know. We'll see what happens. So on that note, I'm going to leave you to it. Have a fantastic week ahead of you. Hope your journeys are all going really well. I'd love to hear in the comments, you know, how you're doing, how long you've been on it. Are you just considering going on? Or have you got to the stage like myself and Ginger where we're getting close to goal weights? But, you know, it's trying to find a way of coping with the other side effects, that things like the loose skin and the wrinkles that are coming in, that you can't do anything about it. I would much rather look a bit older and wrinkly than have all the issues that I had previously, 5 stone overweight. So I'll take that. I think it's a small price to pay. You know, I'm in my late 50s, well, mid to late 50s. You know, I'm not in my mid-20s anymore. Priorities change. So, right, okay. I will catch you all next week and we'll have a face update. All right, bye for now, guys. Bye.